All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good
Good
afternoon
morning.
for some of you.
It's a great
Uh,
day.
it is a good day. So I'm in South Dakota. I'm Leslie, if you're new here. And we have Dr. Scott Saunders. Where are you today, Dr.
In
Saunders?
Solvang, California.
Solvang. So you're typically there every Thursday. Is that right?
Correct.
And tell us what you
Yeah.
do there.
I have two offices. I have an office in Goleta, which is near Santa Barbara, and then Solvang, which is just over the hill, but it's near where I live. But I'm here one day a week, and I'm actually in a therapist's office, and it's kind of fun. All I do is I don't like have exams. I don't do like cutting people. I don't do any of that stuff. People come in and they bring all their medical records and everything, and I go through them and I try to find the root cause of why they have problems, because usually they've had like migraine headaches for 20 years and they've been popping these pills or getting shots or something every time they get a headache, or going to the ER when they get a headache, and they've just kind of been living with this for a long time. And so what I do is go through all their stuff from their neurologists and for everything, the MRI scans and everything. And then I do further testing and find out why. Why do they have migraine headaches? And because once we know why, if it's a hormone imbalance, boom, we can work on the hormones, fix that, and then you never get another migraine headache. I'm surprised at how many people have magnesium deficiencies. There's a lot of people with PTSD that have migraine headaches. So because of all the different reasons, it's really hard to figure out. That most doctors are like, well, here, just take a pill and relieve the headache. But what I do is different, and it's a lot of fun because I get to be the Sherlock Holmes in everybody's life, and it's a lot of fun.
And that is what we so appreciate about you. And that is what so many of our customers comment on is they're just so thankful that you choose to get to the root cause for all health issues in general. Here we
For
go.
everything, even the
It's
corona.
fun too. Yeah, we were just having a conversation about the virus and
Yeah.
getting to, what's actually going on. And so we've had really good discussions on these webinars. If you're new here, welcome. Um, we talk a lot about various things. We've recorded all 100, I believe, in 109. This is 109 today, I believe, episodes where our main focus is type 2, but we have various topics that we also discuss that relate to type 2. And so we have learned a lot. And Dr. Saunders has helped thousands of people to reverse their type 2. And so that's the goal. Probably more than that. Those are just the ones we know of. And so that's our focus here. If you haven't been to bartonwebinar.com, that's where you're going to want to go to find all the things. We'll just say that. So bartonwebinar.com. We're here today with Dr. Saunders. We really want to answer your questions concerning type 2. More and more people are hopping on these webinars each week, and we sometimes cannot get through all of the questions. So feel free to ask them here. A quick disclaimer. I'll let Dr. Saunders give you a quick disclaimer, actually.
Okay. What I do, or what we do here, is for general information purposes. So if you're reading the book and you see the diabetes solution kit, that's general information. And anything that we talk about here is general information and may not apply to you specifically. So the important thing to do is to use wisdom in using the knowledge that you get and applying it properly to see if it applies in your case. I'll give you an example. If I say something like, well, you need to get off insulin to somebody, and you go, oh, I need to get off insulin, and you have type 1 diabetes, that's not a good thing. You still need insulin if you have type 1 diabetes. So it's very important that you apply it specifically to you, so that you can, well, if you work with a professional or something, and find the right thing for you.
Yeah, and finding a professional who is willing to work with you who understands your desire to get to the problem of what's happening, that's going to help you a lot too. So anyway, feel free to ask your questions. Someone was asking about our webinar from last week. You know what? That one actually is not up. It's probably will be put up today, I believe, but it is ready to go. So that'll be coming up. Make sure you go there. You can do Google or you can do searches in YouTube for a lot of different topics concerning type 2. So anyway, here we go. We have a bunch of you on. I think I'm going to go ahead and just get started with some questions to get us started with. So if you have questions, you're watching on, well, if you're watching on Facebook, you can post those in the comments, or if you are on Zoom, feel free to post those in the Q&A. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a question from Nicholas. It's a question about the dawn phenomenon, which I'm not familiar with, but I am fasting and on LCHF close to keto, and my numbers in the morning are still high. Oh, now I know what it is. Are still high even after fasting for 18 hours. I started adding ashwagandha to reduce cortisol. Thank you for the input. What can we do to reduce the numbers in the morning? I'm improving, but I need a boost to reduce the morning fasting glucose numbers.
Okay. Thank you for asking that question. That's actually a very common question. It's in our FAQ page. It's got and the dawn phenomenon is not DON, it's DAWN. And what it is, people will sometimes get up in the middle of the night and they'll say, my blood sugar was normal, it was 75. And then I got up and I didn't eat anything. And I got up in the morning, it was 120. What the heck? And so that's in the morning when you release your cortisol, the cortisol also induces a release of insulin. It makes you actually a little insulin resistant, which causes you to make more insulin. So you actually make more insulin. And then the other factor is that because your blood sugar was going down, you made something called glucagon. And glucagon increases the liver's output of sugar. So you're actually making sugar from your liver. And if you don't have any sugar in your liver, like you're fasting and usually within a few days, you've used up all the sugar in your liver. That was stored in the liver. So what happens is the liver takes glutamine, one of the amino acids, takes protein and starts turning the protein into sugar. So then your sugar still goes up. So fasting, even after you're fasting for days, weeks, you could still have a dawn phenomenon in the sense of your liver can put out more as you're getting more insulin resistant because your cortisol is going up. So it's a lot of combination of factors, and it's okay. You do not need insulin at night to bring that morning sugar down. Don't fiddle with it. If you just do the phase 1 part of the program and you stay in phase 1, what will happen is that will decrease over time as your normal gets into the 70 to 90 range. So someone who has type 2, you got to think that this didn't happen overnight. Type 2 took 10 years to start or 20 years to start. It was a long time in coming over this long period of time, to where your average blood sugar is, in the 180s or 200 or whatever. And that's sort of a thermometer or a thermostat that's set at that, so that the pancreas will try to keep your blood sugar at that higher level. And it takes a while to bring that down. So don't worry about that at all. It's not spurious, it's real. But just let it alone and just stay with the program.
Let's have a little chat about what the program is, because I'm seeing some questions come in. First of all, the diabetes solution kit. I'm going to let Dr. Saunders talk about it. We're going to talk about it as different phases and recommendations. And I think, did we just lose Dr. Saunders? Oh, he's kind of there.
I'm here. What?
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. It
Looks
was
like,
frozen, it looked
okay.
like. But tell us a little bit
Okay.
about a quick overview of the diabetes solution kit, what it is and what you recommend for people who are just getting started, maybe wanting to reverse their type 2.
Okay. So, so somebody it just finds out they have type 2 and their doctor says, you have type 2 diabetes. There's nothing you can do about it. Here, take a pill. And so you take the pill and you go back and you still have type 2 diabetes. And he says, take another pill. And then you go back and you still have type 2 diabetes. And they say, well, you're going to need insulin. And so they inject insulin, or you do. Or whatever this process is going on. But in what way will a pill ever reverse the process or stop the process from progressing? Well, never. In fact, most of the pills that we have cause you to release excess insulin or extra insulin, and that will then cause you to be more insulin resistant. And so and then you're injecting insulin, that's more insulin that causes you to be more insulin resistant. So the disease is progressing as you're going through this medical process. So people who see that and they go, huh, that road doesn't end in a happy place, because that's where people get their legs amputated and they go blind and they're on dialysis. And so people who say, I don't want to go there, what they do is they go online and they look up, how can I cure my diabetes? And then all the things that come up that say you can't cure diabetes, you can't cure diabetes, can't cure diabetes. And then there'll be one at the bottom that says Barton Publishing Reverse Diabetes Program. And you go, click. And then you end up at this website that has videos of me and a lot of other people. And a whole bunch of people who have sent in their testimonials that said, I used this program, it was great. I used it, it was great. And you go, well, $20, what the heck? I'll try it. Click. And then you read this program. What is the program? How this magical secret program that no doctor knows about, because when my doctor told me that it's impossible, that there's no way that I could ever reverse it. And these guys are telling me I could reverse it. So I just gotta know. And it's worth $20 just to find out. So they click on it and find out. And then what they end up with is an ebook, and they start reading along, and it says phase 1. So phase 1 is a very simple, it's the simplest way that we can get a general overall method to reverse diabetes, because there's more than one way. This isn't the only way, it's just one way. And so what's the simplest way that we could put in a book to be able to reverse it that would apply in a broad range of people? And what it is a ketogenic diet. And we prefer that it's a ketogenic diet in a natural way. In other words, that you're using a lot of vegetables and getting a lot of fiber in your diet, and you're eating broccoli and spinach and a lot of salads and celery and stuff like that. Instead of the old way of doing the ketogenic diet, like the Atkins diet, which you eat fat and protein and more fat and more protein and more fat and more fat and more fat. You have your bacon, sausage, cheese omelet with breakfast with cream to drink. Those are the kinds of meals that they approved of on those old ketogenic diets. That's not the way this works. This is a healthier ketogenic diet where you can have a salmon salad and you can have ceviche, and but you're not going to have the tortilla. So, and it's a very simple way of doing it. It's not I can never eat anything that I like. It is I get to eat anything I want, but I'm only going to eat 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. If you know what 20 grams of carbohydrates is, it's like depends on the bread, a slice of bread, a big slice of bread, or 2 smaller slices of bread. It's like an apple is about 20 grams. So you can have fruit, but if you do eat fruit, then the rest of the day you have the free foods, and you can have all the broccoli and kale and spinach and all that you want. So there are limits, and what we limit is the carbohydrate. And the reason for that is because we want your liver to use up all that stored sugar. We want your muscles to get all the glycogen out of them. We want you to have the cells that are so full of sugar that they block the insulin so that they can't get more sugar in. What's that? Did you lose me? Okay. I thought you said something. Okay. So the cells that are so full of sugar, they can't get any more sugar in, that they need to open up to allow sugar in, but they're not going to do that unless you use up the sugar. So then you can exercise. That's a great thing to do too. So phase 1 is a detox program, and it's the simplest way we could put together a general overall detox program. And then you go to phase 2. And phase 2 is where you're still measuring that. So phase 1, you get to a point where you have your blood sugar is boom, normal, 70 to 90 every morning. You're really at a good level for a week or 2 or 3 weeks. You're at 70 to 90 all the time. You're going good. My system has reset the thermostat to the normal range. Now you start in phase 2. And the phase 2 program is I get to add things in and see how it affects my body, how it affects my blood sugar. So you're still measuring your blood sugar every morning. And you're saying, oh, I'm up to 120 this morning. What did I eat yesterday? And you go, oh yeah, I had that and that and that. And there's tools in there. You can keep a diet record. There's shopping lists. There's recipe books. There's all kinds of stuff that are for to help you through that. And then you go, okay, so I'm not okay with the potatoes, but I can handle whole brown rice. And it's just because the starches are different and they're metabolized differently. And I can do beans, but I can't do bread, and that kind of thing. And you'll see what works for you on your diet. That's why we can't give you a diet, because your tastes are different than mine. You know what? This is interesting. The average American has 12 dishes that they rotate, 12 meals that they use. And that's all. And they rotate through those 12 meals most of the time. And they go to somebody else's house and they have a different 12 meals. That's kind of an average, but so that's the way we live. So if I were to give you, this is what you have to eat, and you go, I don't even like that. I don't know. Broccoli and cheese doesn't really even sound good to me. So what you get to do in phase 2 is make it yours. It's you're bringing it into your life. This is the way I'm going to live for the rest of my life. This fits into my lifestyle. So from now on, my 12 dishes are a little different than they used to be. I'm actually kind of enjoying the ceviche, and I make it once or twice a month, as part of my 12 dishes. And I'm eating more broccoli. I like more broccoli. Broccoli has more protein than milk, mother's milk. It's pretty high in protein. So as you're going through this and individualizing your diet, and then you're going, okay, so phase 2, you've developed, this is the way I live the rest of my life. And then phase 3 is, okay, what do I do from here? How do I keep this from reverting back to diabetes and becoming a problem again? So that's it in a nutshell. And then the rest of the book is all the tools that you have, the lists and the writing things down and shopping and recipes and all that. It's great.
So good. And I love Dr. Saunders' explanation for things. He does such a good job. very intelligent, but he's also a teacher. And so it just makes everything so much easier to understand. If you haven't heard his kind of description about turning off the water in the sink and mopping and all of that, you're going to want to go. I think we titled it like Stop and Mop or Unclogging the Sink or something like that. You need to go listen to those. They'll really help you to get a really good understanding for what is happening with type 2 in your body. And it's so good. So anyway, we're getting a lot of questions in here. I will add, we did add a new recipe to our list of 12 things that we will be eating in our family. And we actually found a really good keto cheeseburger soup. It's heavy dairy. So we won't be having it all of the time, maybe every 12th day. We'll see. But I think the whole family really likes it. So I'm excited about that. It's always good when you get the whole family to like something together. So let's see, let's move on to some questions here. We have Scott. Hello, welcome back, Scott. I was diagnosed many years ago with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, but I've been in phase 1 for a year and have reduced my carbs 20 to 30 per day. How do you know if you still have fatty liver disease?
Oh, well, testing is the only way you can actually know. But if your blood sugar is normal, then your liver is not going to be toxic anymore, ideally. And so if they do a blood test and they say your liver enzymes are normal, that's a decent way of saying, okay, then you're not, at least you don't have a high turnover of liver cells, and that's a part of what fatty liver is the cells are dying, and so but they get replaced, but this turnover of cells creates the fatty liver because they release all their fat, and they makes fat globules in the liver. But the sure way of doing it is to do an ultrasound. You do an ultrasound of the liver, and they can see if there's fat globules in there, because the fat is a different density than the liver cells.
Okay, question from Robert. I've been adding cinnamon powder to dry cereal with milk. Is that good?
Yeah, yes. Well, cinnamon powder is great, but the milk, but the cereal's not. Okay, so if I can go on a rant, my one of my biggest rants would be cereal, dry cereal, because if we talk about how terrible smoking is, but compared to dry cereal, smoking's nothing. Dry cereal is just in spite of what the Kellogg company will tell you, the dry cereal has not been a benefit to mankind. It's very high in carbohydrates, very low in everything else as a rule. They generally use processed foods. They put a lot of sugar in it, even when it says no, low sugar or something like that. What does low mean? Well, it's lower than whatever they had before, and they put a gram less or something. I don't know. And then the cereal itself is made into carbohydrates, and so you can look on the box and say sugars and carbs and. Whew. So as far as just carbs go, cereal's not the best. So yes, the cinnamon's fine, but the cereal, I wouldn't. I don't know. If you're on phase 1, and I don't know how you could eat that stuff if you're on phase 1.
One of the most beautiful things and most frustrating things about Dr. Saunders is that he is going to try to reverse what's going on with food first before he adds anything else in, or fasting. And so I'm always like, wait, we can't eat that? No. But he really looks out for us in phase 1 and making sure that what we're putting in our body is fueling us, for one, and helps us to reverse illness right away. So it's not a personal attack on us when he tells us that we can't have cereal, or we can't have all the fruit we want, or whatever it is. He really, really knows his stuff. And so I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, but these are really good questions. Chris, how are you, buddy? Everybody gets pictures of you except for me, but I suppose that'd be weird if you were sending me pictures. So, all right. Chris says, I've been on the diet solution for 4 to 6 months. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm taking 2 to 3 Synachroma I'm still at 150 in the morning. I seem to be stuck at this level. I am down to 32 inch waist. At one time, I was at 38. So he says my upper body looks like I have malnutrition. Any advice? And then he says, I know what you will tell me. Exercise, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you, Chris. I didn't have to say anything. Yes,
Just
exercise
taking care
is
of yourself. There you go.
yeah, exercise is a great because as you're losing the fat, you know, if you're gonna fill out your body, you don't want to fill it out with fat. You got to do something else in your and this is an important principle too. You have to think about this, is that food controls the fat on your body, exercise controls the muscle on your body, and everybody, like, there's this overlap right in there where if you eat a certain amount of protein, you can increase the amount of muscle that you gain. And on the other side, if you exercise a lot, you can reduce the amount of fat on your body. But everybody focuses on that tiny overlap of those two things. But they like what Jesus said, they strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. The elephant in the middle of the room is food controls fat, exercise controls muscle. And so, you know, if you wanted to control your fat with exercise, just to get rid of 1 pound of fat, you have to run a marathon. That's what it takes. So to lose a pound a day, you can run a marathon every day, or you can just fast. And if you don't eat one day, you lose a pound. That's the difference between them. So Chris, the answer clearly is tone up your body, get exercise. That's going to help the most. And by the way, a 32-inch waist is great. That's the ideal place to be for a man, is a 32-inch waist. No matter how else you have, you know, even whatever else, how big your bottom is or your upper body or whatever, if you have a 32-inch waist, then you're probably pretty healthy. So that's good. Now, the other part of your question was the 150, being 150 in the morning. That is a little high, but that might be a dawn phenomenon. So try checking your blood sugar several times during the day and see what that is. And then the other thing, Chris, we might have some tests done. Ask your doctor to do an insulin test to see if you're making proper amounts of insulin. You can do C-peptide, insulin, along with the blood sugar at the same time. And those three should give you an idea of how your pancreas is functioning.
And I just realized this says the last name Bowman, not Bornman. So this isn't the Chris that I was thinking of, I don't think.
Oh, wow.
So there
Chris
is a
Bowman.
reason that you're not sending
Chris.
pictures to me. Okay. Anyway, not that that's weird. Okay, let's see. Peter says, I was diagnosed a year ago as pre-diabetic. I started with 1 pill a day of metformin, and now I'm taking 2 a day. I started taking Cinachroma and turmeric BP along with some magnesium spray. At what point can I stop taking the metformin or reduce to 1 pill per day?
Okay, so as a rule, I don't know how many milligrams your pill is, but as a rule, metformin less than 1,000 milligrams a day is not something that's going to lower your blood sugar significantly. Very often doctors will start you off on 1 pill a day, which is a 500 milligram pill, because if you take like 1 gram to 2 grams a day right off, then you'll get stomach problems because and even could be liver problems. So they want to check to make sure you don't get muscle aches and liver problems and intestinal problems. So that's the 1 pill a day. It's generally not effective. It's not something that brings blood sugar down. 2 pills a day generally it might start to be effective, and then you can go up to 1,500 or 2,000 a day. But as you get over that, then you start getting toxicity, and toxicity can be really bad because it's toxic to the liver and the muscles. So even though it can be helpful at low doses, it might be something that you do want to get off of. So how do you know when? When your blood sugar is normal. When your blood sugar is down into the 70 to 90 range, then you may not need that medication anymore. So then you go to your doctor and say, look, I have normal blood sugar, and I'd like to see if I can get off this medication. And most doctors say, oh yeah, let's see, you got normal blood sugars, let's try it. And then you can stay on the turmeric and synochroma, and then if you're on phase 1, that's a no-brainer, because you've only had it for 3 years. Well, you may have had it for 10 years before you were diagnosed 3 years ago. Anyway, so yeah, just, that's something that you would work with the doctor that prescribed it for you, and just let them know that, look, my blood sugar is normal. I'd like to try this to get off.
Okay. Question from Meg. Welcome back, Meg. What kinds of substances help support eye health, and especially to try to reverse cataracts and other eye issues connected with diabetes? Lutein, astaxanthin come to mind, but many others, especially antioxidants, help. So what are your favorites, or ones that are the most effective?
Okay. The number one cause of blindness in the world, is still a vitamin A deficiency. The number one cause of blindness in the United States is diabetes. So this is a real thing, and this is a real question, and thank you for asking that. Yes, the lutein, astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, all of those, what those are colorings. The red color of a tomato, for example, if you get tomato sauce and it's this dark red, that's all the lutein in it. And then the orange color of a carrot is beta carotene. There are other carotenoids. The green color of a kale, for example, is the magnesium. What's it called? Darn it. Anyway, the green. I keep wanting to say hemoglobin, but it's the same molecule as anyway. So but there are other colors. If you notice, when in the fall, when the leaves turn yellow, orange, red, all of those fall colors, where does that come from? Well, that's the same thing. Those colorings are all these astaxanthins, zeaxanthins, carotenoids, carotenes, and they are found in leafy green vegetables and all kinds of colors. So if you're eating color foods, then you're getting enough of that. And I had somebody that was drinking a pound of carrots. So he would juice his own, drinking a pound of carrots a day. It's only 16 ounces, right? And he turns yellow, and he was clearly yellow. But the way you can tell the difference, the yellow jaundice, someone who has liver disease and has high bilirubin, also turns yellow, but their eyeballs are yellow. Whereas someone who's drinking a lot of carrot juice, the eyeballs will be white, and the skin will be yellow. Anyway, so they collect in those carotenoids collect in the skin. Anyway, all of those, and there's hundreds. I couldn't even name them all. There's hundreds of antioxidants, and a lot of them work in the eyes. So it's better to eat the food, get the colored vegetables, all colors, green, yellow, red, orange, purple. The berries are awesome. They have a lot of antioxidants in them. And then making sure you get enough zinc. Zinc, it turns out, is a common deficiency that people have that lead to that. And if you're getting a lot of those antioxidants, it does prevent both cataracts and macular degeneration.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Cinechroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking Cinechroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated Cinechroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With Cinechroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using Cinechroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get Cinechroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, Cinechroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
Okay, question from Krish. Let's see. Is a cardiac scoring test a reliable one? Is it necessary to have a test for confirmation? What is the best natural remedy to get the plaques out of the blood vessels?
Okay, that's a really good question. So I'm going to tell you a story about this because this is fun. I had a guy who he couldn't walk 10 feet without getting chest pain, like crushing chest pain. He had to stop it. And it felt like he can't breathe. So he went into his cardiologist. Cardiologist did a stress test on him and said, "Oh my gosh, dude, if you don't have this surgery, you're going to be dead in a month." And he's like, and he came into me and he said, "I don't want to have the surgery. What can I do? I don't want to have that surgery." So we did a CT coronary calcium score. And let me tell you what the scoring is. 0 is normal. Up to 100, if he was almost 70 years old, up to 100 is considered okay. 400 is pretty high, and he was 1200. So yeah, pretty much what his cardiologist said is reality. He was pretty close to, I don't know, dying from heart disease. So he said, "What can I do? I mean, this coronary calcium score's off the charts, and I got to do something about that." So we talked about options, and he decided he would do a water fast, water only for 30 days, and he did it. He only drank water for 30 days. He ate nothing at all for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, he was playing a full game of tennis. He was a tennis pro. Playing a full game of tennis with no chest pain, and then he would go work out in the gym afterwards. And now it's been over 2 years. 2 years later, he's still perfectly fine playing tennis, no chest pain, and he's doing great. So here's the funny part. So we did his coronary calcium score because he says, "I want to know, did it reverse it? Because I don't have any more chest pain and I feel great. No heart problems at all. Even my cardiologist says I'm fine." So we repeated the coronary calcium score and it was 1500. Went from 1200 to 1500. Okay. So what does it mean anyway? Well, the coronary calcium score means that you have plaque in your arteries. And just because you fast or something, or put stents in there or bypass them, doesn't mean those calcium deposits are going to leave. The calcium's still there. I don't know, maybe it's kind of like bones and it just stays there until I found something else. And that is vitamin K, vitamin K2 specifically. So a lot of people are taking vitamin D right now. And if you look on the bottle of your Cinechroma, it says D3 and K2. Because if you just take vitamin D, then you're going to absorb more calcium. And then that calcium is going to be in your blood going, "Where do I go? Where do I go?" And so wherever it just gets deposited in places. And there's pretty much good evidence for that if people popping calcium pills and just taking vitamin D, they get more deposits in their bone spurs and all that stuff, and in their arteries. But when you have vitamin K, it can actually reverse that process, take it out of the soft tissues and put it onto the bones. That's what vitamin K does. So, the vitamin K is, if you have high coronary calcium score, first of all, that means something, that you do have heart disease. You got to do something about it. It doesn't say what you need to do. It just says this is a problem, needs to be fixed. And then, but to get the calcium out, the only way I know of, and I looked at some research that showed it does work, that if you take the K2 over a long period of time, years, it gradually pulls the calcium out of the soft tissues, including the arteries of the heart, and puts them in the bones.
Very interesting.
That was a very long answer for a short question.
No, it's good. But no, I think you answered it. That's good. I don't even have a question about it. It's good. All right. Meg says, what is the guideline for the amount of protein you should eat on phase 1? She'd heard someone say 20 grams a day, but that's probably more like for 1 meal per day. Usual guide would be about 44 grams for a 150-pound person.
Yeah. Okay. So, to not make it complex, we didn't include protein in there. And an easier way to look at it is just by saying, increase the fiber. So really, I mean, if you really look at the big picture, and the best way to do things, there's only 3 things you need to avoid when you have diabetes: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And if you avoid carbohydrates, fat, and protein, you will definitely reverse your diabetes. The problem is that's not tenable for most people. Some people have to eat. So what we did is we just took out the carbohydrates. And then if you want to improve, like we were just talking about, somebody who had 100 and lost a whole bunch of weight, waist is 32, still has a blood sugar of 150. Sometimes that's due to protein, because remember, your liver can make protein into sugar, and that's what happens. That's what that dawn effect is that we talked about before, is your liver actually putting out that extra sugar. So you don't have to measure protein, but if you limit it as much as possible, I would usually say under 40 grams. But that idea of 20 grams is okay. That's a tiny amount of protein, but you know what? If you can live on that, I don't know. Broccoli, I think, has more protein than that. If you ate a meal with broccoli, you'd have more than 20 grams of protein. So it's not simple. It's not a simple question. That's why we kind of left that out, and you don't have to measure it.
And I think it'll depend on how you feel probably too, as you're going through the phases.
There's some of that too. I had somebody who went, just said, okay, I'll just be completely vegan. And she found after a couple of years, it was 5 years, she said she ate some meat. She goes, wow, I feel better. I'm not depressed and slow and groggy all the time. And so she found she needed some protein. So not everybody's the same. And that's where phase 2 gets really good, where you get to individualize the program for you.
Yes. Okay, Peter says, I was diagnosed. Oops, I already did that one. Just a second here. Natalie, do you get a rash when you have diabetes? If so, how should it be treated?
Okay. Some people get rashes. The rash, the skin is manifesting toxins in the body. And the toxicity could be a lot of different things. Sometimes it's allergies. Sometimes it's a chemical toxicity. Sometimes it's a lack of a nutrient you're not detoxing. So your own body is making these organic acids and things that are toxic to your body. So in every case, when you see something on the body, rash, acne, if you've ever seen those pictures of people in Bhopal, India, that had the the Union Carbide plant blew up. And what is it that they take pictures? What did everybody have? Acne. Everybody got acne. What from all this toxicity that they had? That's all the skin manifesting toxicity. So when you get diabetes, you are toxic on what? Carbohydrates, fat, and proteins. That's the primary thing. And I'll tell you this, I've been doing a lot of research on this. The only detox the body has starts with a hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin, Grelin, look it up. This is a really important hormone that is only released by your stomach when it's empty. It's the hunger hormone. It's the one that makes you hungry. So when they first found it, and they said, "Oh, this is a terrible hormone. You never want to have ghrelin because it makes you hungry and it'll make you fat. So you should have less ghrelin." Well, it turns out ghrelin is growth hormone releasing hormone, and it starts the cleanse, the detox, repair, rebuild. All of the good stuff that happens to you happens when you have an empty stomach. So if you look at all the cleanses and detox, take a big picture look at it and go, what about the master cleanse? What is that? Well, you drink lemonade and you eat nothing for 30 days. Well, what's that? That's a fast. What about the broth cleanse? What is that? Well, you drink broth and then you eat nothing for 30 days. What's that? Well, that's a cleanse. Essentially, what you're doing is you're drinking like liquids, and they go through so that your stomach stays empty as long as possible, so that you make more of that ghrelin, and then you can detox and cleanse. Cleansing happens during fasting. That's when it happens, and you can detox just about any toxic. Even they did a study on BPA, and there was another one with it. I don't recall which one it was, but two fairly common toxins, I think MTBE in gasoline, that are fairly common in our society. And they found that the best way to lower the levels was fasting. Clearly made a difference. So, yeah, does that answer the question?
Good. The next question is about fasting as well. Someone said, I heard that if your sugar goes down to 40, that you could go into a coma. So if I fast for 3 days with water only, am I going to go into a coma?
If you have type 2 diabetes, probably not. If you have type 1 diabetes and you don't inject too much insulin, probably not. But see, that's where you have to use a lot of wisdom and judgment and work with someone who's skilled and knowledgeable about these kind of things, because you as an individual, right now I don't know, at any given time, right now I have about 5 patients who are on a total water fast. 2 of them are in a nursing home. One of them had a stroke, and he's on today is 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there, of his 30-day fast. He's lost about 20 pounds. He no longer has diabetes. And he said, and I go in there about every day, not every day to every other day, check in on, how you doing? And he's like, doing great, doc. And he tells me what day he's on, and he's doing great. Then I go in and see the other one, and she's like, I'm miserable. I'm getting headaches, and she's on day 15, and she's, so it's not the same for everyone. And so for her, I had to make a lot of changes in her medications because it's a little different. In 3 days, are you going to get blood sugars of 40? Probably not. That's pretty rare, unless you are type 1 and you're injecting insulin and you inject too much, because you're so insulin resistant that it's unlikely that your blood sugar could even get that low. If you have type 2, you're insulin resistant, and it's unlikely to get that low.
Question from Paul. My latest A1C went up 0.1 points to 7.1. My doctor did not appear to be upset with this and more or less told me to continue as before with no medications. I was pleased with this outcome, but still continuing on phase 1.
Dang, that's not a good trend. So when that happens with my patients, when they come in, and so I start asking questions. Okay, what happened? Why did it go up 0.1? Because it might just be the lab, but I think that the bigger issue is it didn't go down. You know, if you're on phase 1, it should like drop like a rock. And if you're at 7, you should be in the 6s, you know, clearly like 6.5. And yes, you can get to 6.5 in a month or two, being on phase 1. So then you have to ask the question, why not? And then look at, because you may be one of those that's sensitive to protein and you're making your proteins into sugar, and you might have to decrease your protein intake. I mean, if you're living on meat and chicken and fish and cheese and, you know, and that's all you're eating all day long, you might find out, yeah, that's a ketogenic diet, but it might not be healthy for you, because that can be made into sugar and raise insulin. Remember this is interesting. Okay, so we always think of insulin in terms of sugar, right? That's what it does. It lowers your sugar, and you have a cell, and the sugar can't get into the cell until the insulin comes and unlocks it, opens it up so the sugar can get in, right? That's how it works. Great, you know, and that is the way it works. That's true. But what we don't think of is the amino acids, the proteins have to get in by the same mechanism. In other words, if those portals aren't opened up, yes, the sugar can't get in, but neither can the protein. So it's not just a one-way street. You have to have insulin to get both of them in. So that's why when you eat a lot of protein, you're raising your insulin levels and you can increase insulin resistance. So that may be something to look at. If that A1C went up when you're on phase 1, just be careful of too much protein. And so instead, increase your fiber. Eat all the broccoli, eat more salads and spinach and lettuce and kale, chard. I got all that in my garden now. Tomatoes are generally okay. I don't know, is tomato a free food? I think it's free, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, eat all the free foods.
Okay, Carol is wondering what your thoughts are on cooked oatmeal, not instant.
You know, I prefer, I'm okay with it. I like it, but it is high in carbohydrates. It's a big carb. So it's going to tend to raise blood sugar pretty easily. It's great in fiber. It's, you know, oats are good for you generally. But remember, the problem with type 2 is you have too much. And so if you eat, if you have like cooked oatmeal once a week or so, and you check your blood sugar, see if it goes up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Samuel said, recently I started taking boiled moringa leaves and metformin, and also exercise here and there. Now level is below 10 mmol and below. Before it was above 10. May I know, is there any substitute for metformin?
Oh, yeah, we used cinnamon in the cinnachroma, and but it's not just the cinnamon. The advantage of the cinnachroma, and the reason I put it together that way, is because these are these are nutrients that people are commonly deficient in that affect how we use the sugar in our bodies. So you can lower blood sugar if you're deficient in chromium. You can lower blood sugar just by taking chromium. In fact, if you're deficient in chromium, you could cause diabetes just from a chromium deficiency. And then you take chromium and you don't have diabetes anymore. You never had to do phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. So the purpose for the cinnachroma wasn't just to metformin just to push your blood sugar down. It's to get your body working properly so that all your cells, they can bring the sugar in, they can use the sugar right, and they're not making toxins, and you're detoxing properly. All of that stuff that's going on that has to work right, the receptors and all that, is assisted by the nutrients that are in the synachroma, not because they're magical, just because that they're common deficiencies in the United States. That's all.
And we have a question here from Natalie, 2 parts. The first question is Invokana a better medication than metformin? And then, do we need to take medication for a blood sugar that fasting is between 8 and 13, or about 110 to 130? Can we just do it with the diabetes solution kit, or lifestyle change with diet and exercise?
Okay. Part 1, which drug is better, metformin or Invokana? Now, I think metformin is a better choice because the way it works, it tells your mitochondria, it blocks your mitochondria from using sugar and forces it to make cyclic AMPs so that you have to burn fat. And so it kind of initiates a fat burning metabolism. And so I'm okay with that. The Invokana works in a different way by making more insulin and stopping you from making your liver from making extra sugar. And it's not a good long-term solution, but either one of them is not a good long-term solution, which brings us to the next part of your question is what can we do instead? Do you know what? None of these medications have been shown to be useful except to lower blood sugar. If you look at the long-term benefits in the UK PDS study, the people who were taking medications had 12% more amputations, 12% more blindness, 12% more kidney disease, like across the board. So it increased their risk of having the complications of diabetes. So the only purpose for the medications is to lower blood sugar in the moment, in the day. That's it. So if you decide not to use those, if you can go to your doctor and say, look, I don't want to be on these medications, I want to do this with a lifestyle program, and then your doctor will work with you on that. Yeah, you don't need the medications. It's not, now, mind you, remember, if you have type 1 and your pancreas makes no insulin at all, then you got to have insulin. So that's why you have to work with your professional who's knowledgeable about these things and can do the tests. And then you may want to do the test and actually do an insulin level, a C-peptide level, and a sugar level to see if your pancreas is functioning.
Okay, Mo says, I have high blood pressure, stomach ulcers, and type 2 diabetes. Could
Okay, say it again. I'm sorry. Type 2 diabetes. That's the last I got.
I have high blood pressure, stomach ulcers, and type 2. Could I do a 30-day? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
30-day fast or cleanse.
Okay, so let's talk about that. There's a book called The Fasting Cure by Sinclair Lewis, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning author from 1910. This book was written over 100 years ago, and it's most of it is proven pretty much true today. And he talks so freely about, oh yeah, I'm doing a 30-day water fast, drinking a lot of water, and my friend's doing a 60-day water fast, and this other guy's doing 90 days, and you know they're like not thinking anything about doing 1 to 3 months of water fast, and we're just like, yeah, you know, can you really do that? Is that right? Are you gonna die? So there was a guy in 1965 in Scotland who weighed 450 pounds. And he went to his doctor and said, I have tried everything to lose weight and nothing works. I'm just going to quit eating. And the doctor said, you're going to die. He said, it says right here in the textbook, if you fast more than 10 days, you die. So he said, I don't care if I die. It's like I'm dead anyway. I can't do anything. So the doctor put him in the hospital and they watched him for 14 days. He goes, you know what? After 14 days of not eating anything, just drinking water, I feel better. So he went out of the hospital, went back to his doctor, and it took him a year and 18 days to get to 180 pounds. So that means he has the record for the longest fast of anyone ever recorded. A year and 18 days, followed by his doctor over time. He was drinking like black tea in the morning, otherwise just water, and took a vitamin pill. But so you have this guy who lived off of the fat on his body for a whole year. So look at it this way. You can reasonably and safely fast, water fast, which means you can drink water for about 1 day for every pound you want to lose, approximately. Some is a little more, some a little less. I had somebody do a water fast for 30 days and lost 33 pounds. Most of them are in the 20s, lose in the 20s. So if you don't have 20 pounds to lose or 30 pounds to lose, no, you're not going to do a 30-day water fast. So in that case, you would say, well, here's how much I weigh. Here's my ideal body weight. I'm just going to not eat until I get to my ideal body weight. So you weigh yourself every day. You get your ideal body weight and you go, okay, I'm done fasting. And so you don't have a day set aside that's when you eat. You just, you look at the scale. And when the scale says you're done, you're done. So that's two ways of looking at it. You can go past that. That's not outside of the norm, but at least get some information and knowledge about it and read about it, or talk to somebody who knows about it and get an expert opinion on it.
All right, final question. 6 months ago, my hemoglobin A1C was 6.7, and 2 weeks ago, it was 5.5. I have lost 25 pounds with intermittent fasting. On my doctor's advice, I have cut my glipizide pills in half, and my fasting blood sugar has stayed at 85 over the last 2 weeks. I will continue to slowly wean myself off of glipizide and continue my Synachroma and turmeric BP. My question has to do with something found on my CT scan. It showed a lesion on my liver. Is there any less invasive test to make sure it's benign, or is only a biopsy?
Okay. Yes. Thank you for asking. Oh, this is a brand new test, you guys. This is crazy. So there's a new test out, and it tests for 50 different cancers, and it's like 99% accurate. And so I had this kind of a thing show up. By the way, good job. 6.7 to 5.6. You went from diabetes to no diabetes. That's reversal. That's exactly what the program's all about. Yes. Good job. So, okay. So then there's this test. It's called Galleri, Galleri. And it's a gallery of cancers, and it comes out of Stanford University. It's Northern California. And they look at the methylation patterns of DNA. So they're looking at your genes and which genes they're called methylation. That's what turns on and off the genes. So they can see which genes are turned on and off. And they can tell you with better accuracy than a biopsy, better than a CT scan, better than an MRI scan. It's by far the best method of determining whether you have cancer or not. And all it is a blood test. They take your blood, send it to the lab, and it costs $900. And it's not cheap, but because they're looking at 50 different genes in there, and so after spending $900 and waiting 2 weeks, it comes back with this report that says No. Negative. That's all it says, negative. Okay, you don't have cancer, none of the 50 cancers. So what's really cool about that, so I had a woman come in who had a lump in her breast, and she's 45 years old, she's got kids, and she's like, I got a lump in my breast. And she said, I had an ultrasound, and they go, yep, you got a lump in your breast. You need a mammogram. She says, I don't want a mammogram. I don't want them squishing that lump. And then they said, well, you need a biopsy. She says, I'm not having to put a needle in there. And if it's cancer, spreading it all over my body. That's what she said. So she said, what can I do? I said, well, there's this brand new test they have that tells you if you have cancer or not. So she does. She says, boom, done. She says, look at it this way. I said, yeah, $900. She goes, look at it this way. I was going to spend $300 on the thermogram. I was going to, between all the co-pays and everything, I was going to at least spend another $500. I probably save money by doing the blood test than I would have over doing all this workup with biopsies and going to the hospital and being here and being there, and the time I have to take off and all that other stuff. If you add it all up, all I have to do is get a blood test and I can go back to work, and 2 weeks later you tell me if it's cancer or not. Duh. So look it up. If you have a lump in your liver and they say that could be cancer because it doesn't look like a cyst, then if you do the test and it's negative, then you go, well, whatever it is. Then the next step would be, if it says no, like negative, then you just wait. You wait about 6 months or so and repeat the scan. If everything's the same size, everything looks the same, you're done.
Awesome.
Isn't that awesome? Now, I wouldn't have known that a couple of weeks ago. This is like brand new stuff here.
Oh, very interesting.
Galleri. Look it up. There's only 2 doctors in all of Santa Barbara that do the test. Now there's 3, I think, but yeah, it's awesome.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by Synachroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking Synachroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated Synachroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With Synachroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those 2 together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using Synachroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get Synachroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, Synachroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
Very cool. All right. Well, we have kept you longer than we were supposed to, so you need to go be with your patients. But we appreciate you and thank you very much, Dr. Saunders. We will see all of you guys back next week, same time. Bye.
Bye.